Peace, everyone. This is African Esquire TV. I'm your host, Tierney Cherie. Before I get started, if you're watching on YouTube, I would ask that you please do like, comment, and subscribe. And also, please hit the notification button. But most importantly, please add yourself to my Telegram channel. Telegram is a decentralized platform, so censorship is not an issue. Also, please add yourself to my channel on Odyssey. Odyssey is a lot like YouTube, but it is also decentralized. We're going to talk about some ongoing situations on the ground inside of the country of Ghana, something that I think is very significant for us who in the diaspora to pay close attention to, and also to join the outcry from a lot of people who are facing oppression. Now, Ghana, of course, is a very interesting country because it's very much marketed to us who are in the West as being this metropolis as far as countries in Africa go. It's basically painted this picture that if you go to Ghana, you're protected. You do not have to deal with ramifications of different decisions being made, but rather you get to live a nice existence. And if you're in a diaspora and you want to return home to Africa, pick Ghana because you'll live a safe life and you'll have property and you'll have all these other things. Very relevant if you consider the conversation we just had on this channel about the need to have a political agenda whenever we are repatriating to Africa, and not just take the laissez-faire approach of saying we're just going to join the current establishment, but trying to go back with a purpose. Now, the truth, though, I think that manifests itself repeatedly, not just in Ghana, but in other African countries that, again, are marketed as being a place for people to come and people to invest and people to live a happy existence, is that the situation is actually chaos for the masses of African people. This is the case. This is a theme throughout the African experience. You might have a country where things are supposed to be quote unquote stable, but they're really stable for a few. And the masses are living inside of nothing close to stability. They're living in poverty many times. They're living in violent territories many times. And they're dealing with the ramifications in silence, because those people who have the voices are usually the people who are privileged, the people who do get the benefit from the colonial system. So we're going to talk about a very tragic story that happened this past week.
Political affiliation aside, Ibrahim Mohammed, alias Kaka, according to multiple sources, took it upon himself to speak up about societal ills, poor roads, choked gutters, abandoned projects, and even more in his hashtag Fix the Country activism.
I
was on a Babaso stretch and saw construction happening, so I decided to show you.
The lanky 45-year-old, whom until the bloody mob attack sported long flowing locks, did not hesitate to appeal to his followers to join him champion development in the Ijera municipality.
This house gets submerged when it rains.
Beyond the social media activism, he went to the markets, the ghettos, the streets and slums to uncover problems affecting the people.
I do these things to draw the attention of our leaders to fix them.
In the last month alone, member of the Economic Fighters League, Kaka, used his Facebook page to galvanize support with the hashtag Fix the Country. His quest to get authorities to fix the country earned him friends and foes at the same time.
All I want is development, but some of you don't get me. Please, let's unite to champion this.
Why?
A bunch of armed men attacked him Sunday dawn in front of his house, leaving him with horrific injuries. He died 2 days later, sparking widespread uproar and condemnation. His brother is distraught.
Now our brother is no more alive. All we want as a family is that the Ghana Police Service should seek the truth and bring forth justice. Because if it does not happen, the youth will probably get into some kind of violence.
This is on a website. It's called Fix the Country. If you do not know, there's a movement in Ghana called Fix the Country, essentially saying to the present administration, you need to fix the country inside of Ghana. And this, of course, again, runs contrary to our narratives, because many people will say there's nothing wrong with what's going on in Ghana, particularly when you compare it to other African countries. But you should listen to the people on the ground, and this is why stories like this are important. So, story says, we just received depressing news of the death of our colleague and friend, Ibrahim Mohammed, a Fix the Country activist and a member of the Economic Fighters League, who was attacked by a mob for his Fix the Country related activism. As you may recall, we earlier reported that Kakal was attacked on the same Friday that the Ghana Police Service arrested other Fix the Country conveners. As TV3/3FM has reported, Kakal received voice messages of threats being made on his life. In fact, there are voice recordings on which some persons known to be the bodyguards to the municipal chief executive of Ejera, Secher Dumase, could be heard saying that activities of Kakal on Facebook were making the governing New Patriotic Party unpopular in the area, and that every means possible must be used to stop him. In fact, less than 2 weeks ago, various individuals had gone to report Kakal to the Ejera police in order to get him to stop his work. Instead of cautioning those individuals to refrain from intimidating and threatening Kakal in the exercise of his constitutional rights as a citizen, the police rather issued Kakal with a warning letter. Now, I've been reading a ton of articles on what Brother Kakal was doing, and it seemed that he was trying to give voice to local people inside of this place, Ejera, and trying to kind of show the world, like, this is what people are actually dealing with. You might see the rosy pictures of Ghana or the nice, things that are put inside of the postcards and whatnot, but people are really struggling. People are really suffering, and the poverty and the different dysfunctions that come along with that are really crippling a lot of the local people's livelihood. So that's what he was doing actively, and apparently that got him in trouble. I do want to point out the New Patriotic Party, this is the ruling party in Ghana, meaning this is the party that is the head of which is Nana Akufo-Addo. Now, I'm not sure how politics work in Ghana as far as how close he is to what's happening in Ejera. For example, in the United States, you would say that Joe Biden is the leader of the Democratic Party. And so if the Democrats inside of, let's say if the Democrats inside of Ohio did something that was wrong, you would not necessarily attribute that to him. I don't know if it's the same in Ghana. I know Ghana is a smaller country and probably a lot more connected as far as things that are happening. But I do know that I have not seen any type of message from the president of Ghana about this murder. I don't know if he's hoping that it will just be brushed aside or people won't pay attention to it. But this is something very serious that I would like to hear him answer to, because if this is true, that your party people were involved in a murder of someone who was not doing anything of violence, but was only showing the conditions to the diaspora, to the other African countries, exposing what's happening in Ghana to the world, then you need to be held accountable for what you did not feel the need to pay attention to. Now, following Kakal's torture, we lodged a formal complaint with the Ghana Police Service. They have taken no steps to interdict or even invite anybody for questioning over the murderous attack. This is murder of an innocent citizen. Kakal's blood is a formal indictment of all of us and our refusal to stand up and challenge the false democracy. If this is truly a democracy, give us justice. They said tomorrow we will seek a formal audience with the Inspector General of Police relating to this matter. Of course, the situation has only worsened in recent days after there were protests surrounding the death of Kakal. So it says that 2 protesters were shot dead and 4 others were injured in clashes, it says, with security forces in the Ashanti region of southern Ghana. Police in a hospital source said on Wednesday. Now, this article says that the youth who were returning from the burial of a slain social activist, Ibrahim Mohammed, alias Kaka, began protesting over his death, but were confronted by police officers and armed military who fired shots allegedly in response to pelting stones and use of clubs by protesters. The development resulted in the death of 2 persons. 4 other people sustained varying degrees of injury as well. Now, 2 of the people who were killed were very young people from what I saw, and this is obviously an added tragedy onto the already impending tragedy that happened. So this, I think, brings out a lot of issues. Number one, these people were killed by the military. I hope that the red flag that's being waved inside of the minds of many, or why is it that the military presence in Ghana is present in this type of capacity? I want to remind people, again, Ghana is supposed to be a peaceful country. I do not remember the last time reading about Ghana having been in a war. I believe certainly not in my lifetime, but you could always correct me. But it's known to be a peaceful country. This is not a country where they're going to use the excuse that they use inside of Mali or in the Ivory Coast or inside of Nigeria and say that the military is there to protect against some type of insurgency. That's just not the case on the ground inside of Ghana. So if you have military when there is a threat of insurgency, and then you have it when there's not a threat of insurgency, clearly the link to the military presence is not about protecting the people from people who would want to harm them, but it's more about poverty regulation. If you look at what happens, for example, inside of different countries, wherever you have a population that is seen as a threat to the dominant society, you have to have a means of violence to keep the people in their place. And this happens frequently throughout the world, everywhere where poor people are, I would say. And I think that's something that we have to really, really, really dig and think about. Why is it that in peaceful countries inside of Africa that either there's a military presence that is beside the police that has guns that they're willing to use against people, or you have police that are militarized to where it's essentially the same thing? This is obviously a question, because if you're talking about going back and repatriating in the side of a country, why would you want to be under a military presence? The other added layer to that, though, is that who funds the military? And of course, we have to always bring it back to who's the one who's setting these types of situations up. We know that the Ghana military is heavily funded by the United States. Many of you remember a couple years back where Nana Akufo-Addo got a lot of backlash because making a deal with the United States government. In fact, just to review and go over some of the terms of the deal, this was in 2018. It says the deal will allow U.S. troops to use an airport runway that meets U.S. standards and have free access to Ghana's radio spectrum. In return, the United States will invest $20 million in equipment and training of Ghanaian troops. So the troops are being trained by the Americans and they're being funded by the Americans. Who do you think wants to put these people inside of strategic places where the people are suffering? Of course, it's going to be the imperialist government. In this case, the United States military wants to ensure that people who are suffering inside of the regions of Africa, who pose a threat to the colonial powers maintaining their grip on Africa, they want to make sure that those people are kept in their place. So understand that the military industrial complex does not just affect us inside of ways that happen whenever we just see there being a war happening or violent atrocities happening. This is an ongoing system that's really meant to keep the colonial system intact and make sure that there's a strong arm that anytime the people step out of bounds, that they will quickly retreat. So these are fear tactics, obviously. I hope and really truly hope that these people who were killed get justice, but I also really hope that us who have been on the sidelines and not wanting to get involved take this as a mandate that this system is only worsening and it's only becoming more violent. And that means that the onus is on us to not sit back idly, but to actively connect, actively organize, and actively try to stand in solidarity with our brothers and sisters throughout the African continent whenever they're suffering from these atrocities. Understanding that us in the diaspora, particularly inside of Western countries, you probably are inside of a country that is funding or complicit with the military or the violence happening on the African continent, whether you're in the US, whether you're in France, whether you're in the UK, whether you're in Germany, whatever, wherever you are, you're probably stationed inside of a country that is actively working to ensure that your people remain enslaved. So these are situations that we have to keep in mind and continue to talk about. So that's all I have on this story. I would love to see your thoughts, and I will see you all in the next video. Hey family, this is Tierney Cherie. I'm here to make an announcement that I'm very, very excited to make. I'm excited because I really think this is something that is important for our people. Otherwise, I would not have devoted so much time and energy towards it. So I finished my first book, and the book title is Fostering False Identity, the Child Welfare System's Design of Social Control of the Black Family. Now, why is this book something that I think will be very important for our community? Well, number one, it's dealing with the system of white supremacy, particularly the way that the system has targeted our children. If you don't know, our children are literally our future. Without our children, we have no future. And so understand that the system is very crafty when figuring out what to derail first. And to me, it's no mistake that the system particularly went after the Black family. If you look at what happened whenever we were enslaved by this system, and continues to go after the Black family, continues to go after Black children, continues to try to villainize African parents. So for that, I wanted to particularly talk about this subject. Now, the other thing that the book will deal with is our African identities. Why is it that our African identities are a threat to this system? Why is it that whenever we want to identify ourselves as being African, we get so much drawback inside of the Black community? I think a lot of us are not aware of the history of assimilationist thought inside of our community, this idea that we have to be close to white in order to be accepted. And so that's another subject that we delve into in this book. So I'm hoping that anyone who is, obviously, if you're a parent, a Black parent, and you really want to understand why it is that these systems are going after your children, I encourage you to read this book. I hope that it will arm you with a lot of knowledge and a lot of foresight, not just about how to protect your own children, but how to organize in your community, because that's really the purpose of the book, is to say that we have to organize among ourselves in order to protect ourselves from this white supremacist system. And then obviously, if you're an organizer in general, this is something that I think is important for you to read, because like I said, this is a subject in the Black community that we just don't discuss enough. Child welfare is not something that is going to get enough attention. People, obviously, will organize them around other causes, but this is one that is really important that I feel like we have to pay more attention to.